Shout
No,
out
it's
to
Oh,
all the bronze
awards.
babies.
There's one more
One,
tower to be played right now.
two,
Yes.
3.
Last time this happened, I shit my pants.
What y'all don't know?
Last time somebody said that right, it was a little bit crazy. Don't worry, nothing like that is happening now. We're good. We're good. Don't worry.
yeah, I see which ones you have me for, Keisha.
Okay.
I got you.
Okay.
We're some
Good,
source
good.
to pull up on my phone, so I'm just closing
Yes.
tabs right now. Whenever you're ready. Or whenever you're all ready. I don't know.
Sorry, let me send this to the VL.
Yeah. I just want to say I love y'all so much. Like, some of y'all are like my favorite people in the universe, and some of y'all I just met for the first time. Just know I love you all, genuinely. Like, this season was fucking stellar.
Yeah. I've only been a host for a number of seasons, and the VL is watching, so some of those busters are going to yell at me. But you guys, outside of my own season, are my top season. So you get the tops for me. My season's first, of course, but that doesn't count. For hosting, you're my top season that I personally hosted.
I have you at a number between 1 and 11.
I can't say that y'all are the top season I've hosted simply because Galapagos exists. But
Yeah, we are
Yeah.
very
if you don't
Hi,
already know the
Christine.
Galapagos lore, then
Hi,
you don't know the
Molly.
Galapagos lore.
Molly.
So
sister.
where does everyone
Hi.
have this Survivor Now podcast? I'm curious.
I don't know. It's somewhere in the wind.
That would determine where I rank.
Y'all are good, I think. I sent it to the VL and then the jury and pre-jury for those who aren't here. So
Yeah.
Chris, where's Carly? I need to see my sister wave.
Owen was blurred out. Wait, no, where's Owen?
you got the
I wanna see
blur
that
That was
out,
man.
Owen.
Chris.
Hold on. That was messy.
I
Owen.
want to see that man. Hold on.
Chris,
I
take
wanna
the
see
blur
my-
off. We wanna
Take the
see
blur off,
Owen.
Chris.
Take that blur off.
Take the blur off.
Take the blur off.
Chris, are you drunk already? What is wrong with you? Take the blur off.
Take off the blur. Take off the blur.
Yay.
Take
Wait,
off
oh,
the
it's not off
blur.
yet. We're still working
by
on
the
it.
way, we're live. I don't know if y'all knew that.
We do.
We do.
We saw
We
the
do.
okay.
Get on with it.
The awards.
All right, let's get into this.
Brandon made a beautiful PowerPoint and spent a lot of time.
As in by a lot of time, I mean today. I procrastinated.
A lot of time discussing awards.
Yeah, so hold on. Am I able? Okay, I am able to share screen. It's not turned on, so I am requesting.
Oh, I'm
that
gonna make you co-host. Sorry,
Yeah,
you
make
were
me
late.
co-host,
I didn't make you
please.
co-host yet.
Betsy, thank you very much.
Just know that, please. This is our subjective thoughts. It could be anything. Don't take it personal. We just are crazy and like see things from our perspective based on where we are in the games.
They're subjective. Megan's objective because I'm a game bot.
Hey, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
There we go. I see it now.
See what I mean? Glad it's cute, right? I know. So, welcome to the Triumph Scottish Isles Awards Ceremony, presented by the Triumph production team, which I have taken on as my responsibility ever since I was on prod. I'm the one who makes the PowerPoint presentation. I'm the one who makes the slides. Give me.
Where did Brandon go?
That was my brother. Anyways,
Kyle.
yeah, he was asking if I was busy. I said yes, he could go fuck himself. Anyways, here's how awards will work. Production was given a poll on different awards to cast their votes on, but we ended up being indecisive motherfuckers. We ended up changing our minds multiple times. We took out awards, we put in awards, and we argued about these for a couple of days, including today. This is what we came up with. Just a reminder, these are just strictly production's thoughts. This has nothing to do with you as individual people. We are so proud of everything everyone's accomplished this season, big or small, and we love you all for making this the most active Triumph season yet, because y'all literally did not shut the fuck up. The pre-jury did not shut the fuck up. The jury did not shut the fuck up. Y'all were the first season that we had to have 2 channels for Alliance chats because y'all were that messy. Y'all literally did not stop talking. And it was kind of concerning, but I live. Anyways, let's get on with the awards, shall we? So our first award is Physical Player of the Season. Who is presenting this?
Oh, that would be me.
Alright.
That would be me. I am presenting most physical player. I will just like say this was the most well-balanced season in terms of like immunities. Like I can't even remember. I did count how many people actually managed to win an individual immunity. So well done. But we do have a top 3. And the nominees are Bruce, Chris, and Emily. However, we do have a winner for this award, and the winner is Emily. Congratulations. I know she's not here, but overall, Emily was a beast in the challenges. Obviously, she won 3 individual immunities, which is the most of anyone this season. And just in general, she was such a well-rounded physical player. So congratulations, Emily.
All right. Also, just as a reference, Emily probably will have demolished immunities afterwards based on the way everyone was speaking. So kind of easy from there. Next up is Social Player of the Season. Who is presenting this award?
Megan.
All right, Megan.
Hi. So I'm presenting this award because social player doesn't just mean who talked the most, who yapped the most. But in production's opinion, it also means who formed the most and closest relationships. And a big indicator of that also comes through with the trust rankings. And as I'm the person who did the trust rankings, I knew where you guys were falling. So the nominees for social player are Brendan. Alrighty, so Bruce, Chris, Lauren, and Sam, all of you guys had really close relationships, people who were loyal to you guys to a fault, people who died for you, and all 4 of you dominated the top of the trust rankings for most of the time that you were in this game. Like when I say that you were generally like the top 4 alternating throughout the entire merge, like there might be like 1 or 2 rounds where you guys weren't at the top of the trust rankings. So all of you killed it socially, but our winner is Chris. Chris from the get-go was dominating on Original Tribe. Swap Tribe was a little bit of a low point for Chris, but he still got in with the new people that he met, and then again in the top 3 or 4 for literally every round of the merge. Everyone was trusting Chris, and you know, came to bite them in the butt, as you all saw throughout the season. So Chris, stop yapping, but also don't.
Yeah. I just also want to say as an ad note, we are fucking shocked Chris made Final Tribal Council in the first place, because there's 3 identifiable points where that man should have gone home and his social game saved his ass. So that's also partially why you won, my friend. What the fuck are you?
Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate that very much.
All right, next up is Strategic Player of the Season. Who is presenting this award?
That is me.
All right.
So for Strategic Player of the Season, we do have, again, 4 nominees. And they are Bruce, Emily, Jonah, and Sam. And again, these players are nominees because we saw them throughout the game at different points in the game, in different ways, move votes, talk about votes, and work within alliances to push a name in ways that other players didn't realize. They would push a name early, get other alliances to push names to the point where those alliances thought that they were the originator of getting that player's name on the board, when really I would see that maybe the night before, the minute after Tribal ended, these are the people who actually started a name at some point, either together in their own alliance or separately, to get a said name out there to get things moving. And other players in the game would always say, oh, this name got popped up the last 30 minutes before Tribal, when actually, no, that was done 24 hours in advance, or even before the previous Tribal. They said, next Tribal, we want this person to go. And so these players were the strategic players that were always looking further in the game and trying to figure out what was the next move and the next move and what needed to be done and who needed to go based on getting themselves further in the game. The winner of this award is Bruce. And Bruce is the winner for some of the reasons that he actually stated to argue his case in the game, because he was thinking not only how to get forward, but also who was his allies, closest allies, and who did he need to cut to make sure he was closer to them. And so that's why, one of the reasons why Bruce won this award, because he was always thinking about what was his next move and how was he going to get closest to the people he needed to get himself to the end, which he did.
Thank you. All right. Next up is our Most Robbed Pre-Juror Award. I believe Megan is presenting this.
I think I am, yes. Throw me in here for this one. Most robbed pre-juror. You guys can argue the definition of robbed. Robbed means, you know, something unfortunate happened where a person who was generally in a good spot ended up not in a good spot, or some other events out of their control led to them being this boot at this point in time. At least that's how I interpret robbed. So let's see the nominees. Our nominees were Jennifer, Cake, and Trent. Just brief overalls, I guess. Really quickly, Jennifer. I mean, Jennifer it's her first org, was in a great spot on Original Tribe, swapped in a majority, but we all know the Jonah of it all. Cake, you know, had a rough go at the start, but then like literally the day she got voted out, like got people to change their mind and want to change the vote. But because of things like exile and people just like not having time to figure it out to switch the vote is why Cake still left. And then Trent as well. Trent got into a bad spot on the swap. Exile for Trent was actually bad for his game because he couldn't talk to people to get into a better spot, which just led to his inevitable boot the round after that. But there is a very easy winner by far, and that is Jennifer. Jennifer, I mean, honestly, like, was doing really well. All of her strong allies swapped away from her, and she just got fucked with Jonah, who immediately flipped. And even if he hadn't flipped, Sanam played an idol. So I mean, Jennifer was just kind of like in a shit situation all around. And you were definitely robbed, Queen.
Jennifer, play more orgs.
Yes, please.
Maybe one day.
That's the other two friends we will talk about later. Cake was just a very unfortunate set of circumstances where the tribe target did actually end up get sent to exile, and then one of the people who very much wanted to save Cake in Emily lost their vote, so they didn't actually have a say in that. It was just a situation of unfortunate circumstances. Had one thing changed or one thing, Cake very much could have stayed and Jonah might have gone, because that was another name floating around there as well. It's just all of y'all three got fucked at a certain point, but Jennifer was the most fucked out of all of y'all. She was the definition of fucked. Next up is Most Robbed Juror, which I am presenting. Obviously, bullshit still happens in the merge portion of the game, which we will be talking about now. Our Most Robbed Juror nominations are Hannah, JJ, Sanam, and Samantha. One way or another, y'all got fucked over. Whether it's from people flipping last minute, you unintentionally destroying your own game, by leaking the wrong information, just a situation between minority, or in the case of JJ, being victim of an advantage that should have never gone through in the first place because someone mistimed their nullifier. So JJ, you're winning this because we were not expecting you to go home when you did. We were expecting the advantage revoker to be played successfully and for Emily to go. Never in our wildest dreams did we think that advantage would be misplayed and then we were stuck there for an hour. Keep in mind, I think maybe you were on borrowed time? Absolutely, but you should not have gone that early. Maybe live night, not there, which is why you won this award, my friend. Next up is the best pre-merge round. This is not just the tribal council, but this is just the round overall, including some of the drama that might have happened before then or events that were going to place. Who is presenting this award?
Me.
All right.
I mean, Brandon just very well summed it up. So let's get to the nominees. It is the double tribal council, Jennifer's elimination, and Patrice's elimination. All three had some flair, had some drama, so it was all very fun to watch from a production standpoint. But the best pre-merge round was Jennifer's elimination. Again, just the betrayals, this was probably the first time we really did see a big move happen. So yes, congratulations. Sorry, Jennifer, it did mean your demise though.
Anything for you guys.
All right, next up. This is actually supposed to be best merge round. I think I just forgot to change the name for this. It is best merge round. I am a dum-dum and blind. Who is presenting this award?
That is me, I believe. Okay, so for the best merge round, of course we have you guys gave us a lot of footage, so we had to really choose. But Final Four Fire Making is making this list because there was a lot of back and forth between like how is this going to go down? And then it was very clear that Chris and Lauren were voting together. Bruce and Jonah was going to vote together. We were going to possibly go to Final Four fire making, but who was going to be in it? Was it going to be Chris versus Jonah? Was it going to be Lauren versus Jonah? And what was it going to be? So that was fun. And then there was, of course, live night and JJ's elimination. I'm going to skip over and talk about live night because that whole round was fun, especially during the point where I think all of you were quaking in your boots at the idea of Emily winning every single one of those rounds. And then what were you going to do if you had to vote somebody besides the person that all of you were planning to vote? That didn't happen. So then it went according to the plan that you guys wanted. And of course, the winner of this is JJ's elimination round. Before we even got to tribal, all of the things that led up to it, the conversations, the spilling of Chris's power, then Emily slowly telling people about her power, how those things were going to interact. The fact that JJ told, I'm going to try to get this right, JJ told Chris, don't play your power, because if you play your power, there's a chance that Sam could go home. And Chris being like, nah, because if I don't play my power, I'm going home, or whatever the conversation was. Chris still playing the power, but then playing it wrong. Unfortunately, all that turned into who's voting who, nobody knowing what the heck was going to happen. And ultimately, it came down to JJ versus Nick. JJ went home. It was a crazy round. We were all there for 8,000 hours. We know what happened.
And let's just say we're never implementing that twist ever again. Next is the best underdog. An underdog in this situation would be someone who very much had to claw their way from the bottom consistently. There's a lot of forms that an underdog can take, whether it's someone in a minority being just constantly fighting their life, or someone in the majority constantly being underestimated. There's a lot of different ways that people can become underdogs in this case. Our nominees are Emily, Hannah, Jonah, and Lauren. Emily and Hannah specifically were people who had to fight from the bottom almost the entirety of the game after the tribes swap, especially after Jennifer got blindsided, Emily losing her allies immediately, especially during the merge when they were in minority, just both of them constantly fighting for an in. Emily pulling off crazy moves, Hannah getting very close to actually integrating herself, going to Final Six. And then you got people like Jonah and Lauren who were very much underestimated by players in the game, because giving props to both of them, Jonah very much did play a very strategic game with Bruce that I felt like was very underestimated. And Lauren, honestly, was one of the better social players this season, who ended up becoming a massive jury threat that nobody in the game realized until they got sent to the jury. It was very fortunate to see you guys constantly fighting for your lives, but the person we picked for underdog of the season is Hannah. Hannah came so close to integrating themselves, and they were actually super close to surviving that final 6 votes. And honestly, Hannah, if you made the end of the game, it was lights out for everyone else. Other than Lauren, everyone was going to vote for you to win. So honestly, had you just made it a little bit farther, had honestly the cards not fallen in your favor, had Bruce just taken out Chris, you would have maybe stood a chance. But unfortunately, you fell a little short. But hey, you won underdog of the season. So congratulations, Hannah.
And I am doing the next one.
Yeah.
Best duo. I think the duos in the season were semi-visible for the most part. You had Scott and Emily, Chris and Sam, and Bruce and Jonah. And the winner of Best Duo was Chris and Jonah. This duo
Chris
was
and
called...
Jonah.
What did I say? Chris. I'm
You
so
said
sorry.
Chris
Bruce?
and Jonah.
I'm so sorry. I was looking down at my notes. I think I saw Chris's name. Bruce and Jonah. This duo won for multiple reasons. They made it the furthest in the game, but not only that, they were called out from the beginning as being a duo, told by everyone they're working together, they're dangerous. But yet somehow nobody broke them apart. Whenever, for the most part, it was only Jonah's name who was put out there. Whenever Jonah's name was put out there, Bruce found a way to like put somebody else's name out there, and people bought it and they voted out the other person and never actually voted out Jonah. I saw that happen so many times, I was amazed. And they made it to the end of the game together to Final Four. So yeah, they're the best duo.
You are also,
Good job.
you're also
Jonah.
presenting the next category, Keisha, which is Best Alliance.
Yes. So we had 1,000 million alliances. Thank you guys for making us do that. in this season. And oh my gosh, I'm not going to say one of these alliances, right? But we had, you can show the alliances for me there, Brandon. We had CBS, Hot Girl Secret, His Vice, if I'm saying it right. And we had the Power Rangers. CBS was Chris, Bruce, and Sam. Hot Girl Secret, His Vice was Bruce, Chris, and Jonah. The Power Rangers, Lord forgive me, was Chris, Bruce, Lauren, Sam, and Nick.
Yep, correct.
Right? Okay, again, so these are the best alliances for different reasons. These alliances work separately, but a little bit in tandem. As basically, Power Rangers was this bigger alliance that kind of broke off in some of these other ones that ran a lot of the game in the votes in different ways. And this is how a lot of these votes got pushed out to other players and other alliances in the game. And we voted Power Rangers for the win because for a large portion of the game, until obviously a couple of people were voted out, this is where the nucleus of a lot of the information was put and then sent out to a lot of the other minor alliances, not that they were minor, but all the other alliances in the game. Things got pushed, things got discussed. And so we voted Power Rangers for the win because that really is where a lot of the power in the game was held from what we saw. Power Rangers, ironically. And as you saw, the final three were all in this alliance and made it to the end.
All right, and while we do have Best Alliance, we also have a separate category. Best Alliance Name. This has nothing to do with how good your alliance was. Your alliance could have sucked ass. If you had a funny name, we nominated you for it. I always like to have a bunch of nominees, so we have 7, the most nominees of any category. Our nominees are, and I'm going to go in counterclockwise order, or clockwise order, 6 Nips with Chips, Survive Her, Patrice's Campfire, different from Patrice's Campfire's speech, not getting Scott's jury votes, Waiting for Sam, which I just want to add was an alliance specifically made to add Sam, but which she could not be added into. We also have Emily and Gayland, made during the whole Scalpay thing out of frustration. And then we have Miss Kilda. So these were the funniest names. There was a lot of acronym names. Like, I think one of them was like LLC, or like you just took acronyms to your first names. There was a lot more. Y'all made way too many alliances, so it was hard to narrow it down. But we all agreed that 6 Nips with Chips was just way too funny of a name, and that's our best alliance name. So whoever named that, good job. I forget. Y'all made way too many alliances. It was horrible sorting out the archives. Next up is Best Rivalry. Who is presenting this award?
Hey, that's me. So obviously Best Rivalry. We have rivalries during the season. It is always the case. But what were the top 3 rivalries, you ask? Well, Jennifer versus Jonah, Luke versus Scott, and Trent versus the gays. All 3 of these rivalries were iconic. But the one that took the cake,
hands down,
Trent versus the gays. And I would like to just specify the gays are Chris, Nick, and Scott. Trent was Trent, we love you. Obviously, as we all know, Trent had a little bit of a lie going on, and Trent decided he wanted to be a bit flirtatious. And it just seemed to keep Chris, Nick, and Scott up at night. I love you all 3, all dearly. You could not just, you guys just literally thought about it 24/7 during the swap. And it was just so funny to see. We all know that everyone loves each other. But yes, that was the rivalry. That was just the funniest.
Let me tell you, when they found out Trent was not single, oh boy.
Go back and see Most Robbed Pre-Juror, because not gonna lie, that was a big reason why he was targeted.
Yeah.
Love you, Trent.
That was the reason. Let's not look at ourselves here.
Are we allowed to say it was petty?
No.
Next up is the best move of the season. Keisha, you are presenting this.
Yes. So we do have a few nominees for this, and they are Jennifer's blind side. While not a very popular move, it was definitely talked about all the way up until the end and in the final jury. This move definitely propelled Jonah's game and helped the quote unquote Grimsay side of things. And so it definitely was a move that helped at least one player, in turn helping, we believe, Bruce, and many people believe helped Bruce, and then helped him get to the end. You had Sanam's blind side, which I do believe helped a number of players in that Sanam at the time had proposed going after Emily, in the end, maybe targeting Bruce. But Sanam's blind side was definitely a good move because Sanam, I think, had a good pulse on certain parts of the game and definitely probably would have turned this game up, and there probably would have been a different final three had Sanam stayed in the game. And then ultimately, Samantha's blind side, because again, Sam was very close to Chris and Lauren, and I do think, who knows how that final three would have turned out, but definitely I don't think Bruce would have been there. So ultimately, the best move of the game was Sam's blind side, because Bruce read that 100% correctly in terms of trying to cut off an appendage from Chris to help himself advance in the game, which it did ultimately get him to the end, even if it didn't get him the win, because he would not have seen that final three, I think, if Sam was still in the game.
And then
love you, Sam. It wasn't the best move to get you out because of you leaving, but it was the best move for the players to get to the end.
Also, Hannah contributed to that as well.
Hannah definitely contributed to
she
that.
She did a great job.
Yes,
incredible
It
swapping
helped Hannah stay in because Hannah would have been gone. So it helped Hannah and Bruce in that moment.
Yeah. And while we have a best move, there is also a worst move of the game. We have thoughts here, people. Our nominees are eliminating Luke at the final 5, Luke's messiness, just constantly being messy, and JJ not flipping on Grimsay during the pre-merge. Just to go in order specifically, eliminating Luke at the final 5 stunned the jury because I don't think he might have gotten 1 or 2 votes, but everyone thought that they weren't going to win, and the obvious move was to take out the duo in Jonah and Bruce by taking out Bruce, and we were just stunned that that happened in the first place. Luke's messiness, I think it mostly hurt him specifically because I think while it was very entertaining from a production perspective, how much Luke flood names, how much Luke was going around, I think it ultimately did end up hurting him in the process because he lost trust with so many different people by continuing the messy routes to a point where literally, I think it got to a point where it ultimately led up to his elimination because no one trusted him going into the final 4 to actually stay by their side. And then JJ not flipping on Grimsay pre-merge, there was just a lot of stuff going on. You had the connection with Emily at that point. There was definitely moves to be made, especially after Grimsay very much turned on you in the very early stages of the merge. There was a little bit of that sentiment going on. And also, you know they all had the idols. Flush one! Get rid of an advantage! Or something. Obviously, we still love you, JJ, and all that stuff. But the worst move of the season, hands down, is eliminating Luke at the final 5. We're just dumbfounded by this. The jury was dumbfounded by this. It was a good... I need to say that in terms of specifically Bruce, props on him for convincing Chris, and obviously Chris ending up feeling like he couldn't trust Luke in general, which again was Luke's own doing in the first place. But Luke wasn't really winning. The fuck? Anyways, next one is best reads. We only have one winner by far. Who's presenting?
Yes, I got this, and the best reads was Emily. Very simple. We didn't even nom anybody else. It was very clear early on. Emily in her confessional was pegging everything before you can even think about it. Best reads, hands down. Moving on.
Wait, I want to make a really quick comment about the Emily best reads. Emily got best reads locked up in the pre-merge when there was the alliance made of her, Nick, JJ, and I forget if there was a third person, and Nick told her about his idol, and she went to her confessional and she was like, well, Nick told me about his idol, and then he added JJ to this alliance when that kind of came out of nowhere, which makes me think they worked on the Safari together because they worked with Sanam on the Safari, which means JJ has an idol. And Prod was like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did you conclude this? Like, because she was right. And so, yeah, that was when she locked it up, literally in the pre-merge. So,
Oh, all right. And we have worst reads. Ollie?
Yes. So obviously, worst reads, it's not the fact that you had the worst reads throughout the entire season. Pretty much all three of the cases, there was just a couple of reads that were really just so far the complete opposite. So the nominees are JJ, Nick, and Scott. It again, like I said, it is only a couple of things that were just really off about it. But the winner is JJ. JJ, it does a tribute to on the jury. You were very confident that Chris never voted for you. You were on that, and unfortunately, that was attributing to it. But we do love you, so don't be sad. We love you.
I just want to add, JJ's worst reads just come from lack of information. He was on the jury for long. Some of y'all definitely knew that Bruce voted Nick out, and y'all didn't tell JJ. Shame on y'all. Nick. Next one is funniest moment, which is me. So there's a lot of funny moments that happened in the season. This is just 3 of them that we thought were the funniest. This would be Nick during the telephone challenge, absolutely losing his mind. We have the Scalpe sex stories. Let me tell you something. Reading that scripty was wild. And then obviously Trent lying about being single was the funniest storyline of the season. Shout out to the Patrice pictures throughout the entire season. Y'all love that man. But it is hands down Nick during the telephone challenge. None of us not a single member of production could keep a straight face the entire time. You looked dead at the camera and cursed your entire tribe off, and it was hysterical. Next up is the best tribal council of the season. Ollie?
Oh, this is me. Oh, okay. The best tribal council. Obviously, we had some very entertaining tribal councils. But the nominees are Jennifer's Blindside, JJ's Blindside, and Samantha's Blindside. Yeah, all 3 of these tribals were insane. However, it's very easy here. The best tribal council was JJ's Blindside. How long that took, 3 votes, 2 hold on, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Still there. But yes, JJ, it was just an iconic way to go. Regardless of what's happened, you have one of the most iconic exits and tribal councils in Triumph history. So well done.
All right. Next up is Best Confessionals. Megan, this is you.
Best confessionals. This goes to, the people that brought the information, the tea. This was our first season allowing the Viewers Lounge to see a public confessional and having a private subs for you guys with the hopes of the viewers having more information. So it really was, these nominees are the people that went above and beyond and gave the viewer all the juicy tea and let them and Prod know what was going on when we don't have time to look at everything. So the nominees are Bruce, Chris, and Nick. Again, they gave like their thoughts every round. We had some videos from Bruce. We had some voice messages. Again, I mean, strategic players, I'm pretty sure Bruce won strategic, and I think Chris was a nominee too. Like, you guys just gave all of the information in your confessionals and kept them fun. But the winner from day one, starting to the end, is the hot girl Chris, constantly in his confessional, constantly giving information, constantly bitching and moaning, but in a fun way and not in a mean way. So Chris, you give us a lot of fun content, and thank you.
All right. And Megan, you're actually up next as well because I moved to the Safari Savant earlier.
Yeah, shout out to this last minute award. It's fine. You know who you are if you know why this award's in here. We have some nominees. Again, for this Triumph season, we use the Kadabra Bot Safari feature, something that I have been interested in. Fun thing was that nobody knew what the fuck this was, really. Probably just because you guys don't play the orgs that use them more often, which is totally fine. which made it interesting to see, especially because you know, some people in particular got to reap the benefits. JJ and Sanam both got idols from the Safari. I do want to give an honorary nominee to Bruce as well, just because he didn't really use it for the advantages, but he is the one who used it the most for cross-tribaling, to get relationships with people on the other tribes. So like the Safari is good for getting advantages, but it really like the bigger benefit is to meet people that you haven't met yet. So shout out to Bruce. You made me think of you as a nominee in your speech, and I'm sorry we didn't put you on here. But the
Also,
winner, oh sorry.
just before, also shout out to V for pretty
Oh
much
yeah.
starting that whole map and then giving it to everyone trying
Yeah.
not to get voted out,
Yeah.
and then everyone on Grimsay pretty much using that as a blueprint to just steamroll.
Yeah, so V gave the map to Sanam, I think, which is what helped her get the idol. But really, there was one person who stood out the entire time, the only person who had experience with the Safari bot, so they knew to keep track of where they were going. They knew to share items with other people to get advantages, and they knew where all of the fucking idols were. And this goes to Nick. Thank you for suggesting this award because it makes total sense to give you props for, you know, utilizing that new feature in Triumph to the fullest of the extent that it could be used.
All right. Next up, messiest player. We were at our big 4 awards, and yes, this is one of them.
Yes, messiest player has just become one of the big 4 for some reason. But yes, this goes to the players that loved a bit of mess, loved a bit of chaos, threw no caution to the wind, and just went balls to the wall. So the nominees are Luke, Nick, and Scott, all for slightly different reasons. But the winner is very obvious. It's Luke. I'm so sorry, Luke. You were the messiest player. And for me, what sealed the deal was during the voting when you decided to shout out Rob has a podcast over Survivor Now. But that has nothing to do with me. Love you, really.
Luke, you provided so much entertainment, man. And from a prod standpoint, it was amazing. From a game standpoint, it was messy as fuck, dude. Next up is Hero of the Season. I believe Keisha will be presenting this. Or no, Megan is actually.
We loaded me up with the end awards, totally fine. Hero of the Season. So hero, you know, it could be the person who's nice and lovable, congeniality, but it also, you know, just means like the people who play like a game that is either honorable or come from behind, like putting it all in to like come from a bad situation and doing whatever they could. So let's show the nominees. So we have Emily, Hannah, and Lauren as the nominees. Emily and Hannah were more of like the non-typical heroes from what you would typically think of, because yeah, they can get spicy, but like they fought for their allies just as much as Lauren did, who is the more typical kind of hero you would see, and tried to come back from like difficult situations. But ultimately, we kind of have to go with like literally the embodiment of a hero in a Survivor game, which is Lauren. Triumph has never really had someone this heroic, like overall, who will literally like want to vote wrong because they just simply cannot vote for their allies, which was really, really nice to see and very refreshing.
Lauren is literally, I think, one of the top 3, if not the top nicest players we've ever had, point blank, period.
Guys, stop. That's enough. I didn't know this was a thing.
And with every hero, we have a villain of the season. This could be also need to stress, villain does not mean asshole. Villain could just mean you're playing very cutthroat. There's a lot of nice people to have one villain of the season. Myself and Keisha included in very different seasons, not of Triumph specifically. Our nominees for villain of the season are Bruce, Chris, and Scott. All for very different reasons. But there's one person that this is an award we debate a lot, and there's one person that I think we all came to a consensus on that I think played the most cutthroat game behind the scenes. So villain of the season's Hot Girl Chris. The amount of times that you have told people to their face that they're your number one, and then you vote them out without any fail. Nasty man. Nasty man. And then we have our player of the season. Just as a note, this is the player of the season is the person who we think played the best game that didn't win. So Lauren, you're out of the running for this. Ali?
Oh, it is me. Yes, player of the season. Obviously, this was always a big discussion. So let's just get right to the nominees. We have Bruce, Chris, and Samantha. Congratulations, you three. You are all the player of the the nominees, obviously. But the player of the season is Bruce. Congratulations. Yeah, just strategically in terms of how the merge went, you really were able to kind of put yourselves in great position. So congratulations.
Thank you. Controlled some votes, I guess.
Now,
Only a couple.
To the
next
bitter
up-
end. No, literally, I just wrote this in the chat, but Bruce like literally ran every single vote in the merge, which is crazy.
I would say Bruce's only downside was obviously the social game, which is why Bruce unfortunately weren't able to get some votes at the end. But strategically, man, we had to give this to you. We had to give this to you.
As someone who is transactional, I'll give you tips on how to work on that for your next game because
We will
that
give-
has been told to me before too. I'll give you tips.
We will give all of you tips if you want some. Next up, production favorites. So because all of you were active as fuck, this season we've select 2 production favorites. 1 pre-merger, 1 merger. Except Ollie because he's special. So first up is Alex's favorite players. Alex's 2 favorite players that he has selected, and I just want to say sometimes they can overlap in terms of production favorites, were Patrice and Jonah. I don't believe Alex is here to speak on this, but just know Alex loves you both. Next up is John. Did John leave a
John-
message? Yes,
John
I-
wrote a comment somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it in the host chat.
I've got the comment if that
Okay,
helps.
cool.
Sure. For John, right?
Yeah.
John's favorite players are V and Luke.
Yes. So for V, John loved your tenacity, even through failure, was beyond exciting to watch. You deserve to be noticed for what you did. And for Luke, he said, messy as you were a hoot and a half, and always had a quip that got me near to break. You were always fun to watch, even when you hated challenges.
All right. Next up, Jordan. Jordan, you are here, correct?
Hey, I'm here.
All right. Jordan's favorite players were Trent and Lauren.
Yes, I didn't waver on those 2. Trent, he was one of the funniest people to watch. He got so much hate. I'm sorry for laughing about it, but it was kind of funny. But he's hilarious too, and his like production and just talking to people. And then Lauren, Brandon touched on this, but she played the most pure game of any org I've ever seen anybody play. It was so I was like, I've never seen anyone play like this, and then people just not be mad at them. Like, this is crazy. I'm really glad you played. I'd hate to touch on that again. But I'm really glad you said yes. And also Kristen said congratulations as well. So yes, Lauren, you played incredible. You definitely deserve the hero of the season. Good job. Yep.
Thanks for bringing me in, Jordan.
All right. Next up is Keisha. Keisha, you're here?
I am definitely still here.
All right,
Very excited to get mine.
Favorite
Okay.
players
Yes.
were
So-
Jennifer and Bruce.
Yes. Let's start with Jennifer. Jennifer Queen. Oh my God, you are rock. We already said that. So Jennifer, you are one of my favorite players for multiple reasons. First of all, you are hilarious. Like, you were given so much energy, so much love when you were in the game, and even in the pre-jury chat, girl, you are so funny. You have to play again. But what sealed the deal for me is you was one of my favorite players. Was so early on. I don't remember if it was the wall sits or what challenge it was, but I want to say it was wall sit. You were doing that challenge, and afterwards somebody came to you about like how long you were doing it, or if they thought you were gonna like lose or drop or something. You were like, I won't say the comment, but you made the funniest comment, and I was like, that's my girl right there. Yeah, you were like, I'd be darned, but you used the curse word, I don't curse. if I lose to a man. And I was like, I know that's right. We don't lose around
Oh,
here.
I'll be damned if I lose to a man on a cruise ship.
Yes, there you go. Yes, that's
that was to me. Oh, that was
yes, yes, that's what it was. And I was like, that's my girl.
And I like move around inside the door, like while squatting. I was like, can you do that physically? And he said, yeah.
Yes, I was like, I love a competitive person. I'm a sports girly. I'm so competitive, and I love somebody else who's very competitive, which takes me to my next favorite player of the season, and that is Bruce. Again, as a competitive person, that's where I'm drawn. So Bruce, I found your approach for what is Megan saying? Stop, Megan. Bruce, I found your approach to the game to be fabulous because again, like I said, I take on the game in a very like headstrong, forward way. I love sports, so sports analogies work for me. And I love that you were being strategic. Having a little paranoia is very normal and okay in Survivor because you never know if it's going to be your name. You just got to figure out how to like balance that with making people feel good and also making them want to vote for you when they're in the jury. But I love the way you played. It was great. You were also funny in your chats and everything and watching you. And yes, we are the showmans of the season. Thank you, Hannah. So great job, Bruce.
All right.
Thank you.
Next up are my production favorites. My production favorites are Cake and Emily.
Yes.
So I want to touch on Cake first, just because there's a little bit of a production backstory that has to go behind that. I met Cake a little bit before the season started. I fell in love with Cake immediately. I think they're so sweet and they were so kind and whatnot. The day before the season was going to air, someone had to drop out of the cast for a family emergency. And at that point, you know, alternates were kind of out of the question. I messaged Cake on a whim, just to see if they would want to play. And they jumped in so fast. They put y'all to shame in terms of getting pictures in and everything in. So Cake, for saving this season, and the fact that I just love you so much. You're also one of my favorite players for the pre-merge specifically. With Emily, so much content. I think Emily's one of the most fascinating players I think I've ever met, just because of how lovable and how threatening they are. She should not have lasted as long as she did. Like, frankly, she should have gone out pre-merge with her threat level, and the fact that she made mid-jury, honestly, is a testament to her game. Which, honestly, I am very proud of her, and I want to be friends with her. Also, shout out to JJ, because JJ was someone who I've been friends with for years. They were an alternate this season. When someone dropped initially from the cast and had to decline, I pushed JJ so fucking hard to be on that cast. I was like, it's JJ, and I'm not changing my answer on this. So, JJ, I love you.
I fully was like, damn, it's only been like 4 hours since you all told me that I was an alternate. What the fuck?
Yeah, and then someone declined, and I was like, JJ. But I love you, and I love Cake, and I love Emily. Megan.
I'm here.
Your production favorites are Patrice and Hannah.
Yes. So to touch on Patrice, I would just like to say I take full credit for Patrice's existence. Not in the world, in Triumph. Because I was just the one that did his interview. Patrice applied on the last day and was like, "Hi, I just randomly showed up here from Facebook." And I got on a Zoom call with this man, and within 15 seconds, I messaged the host chat and I said, "Oh, he's an autocast. This man is an enigma. I've never met or spoke to a human this interesting." You all know it's Patrice emoji. I was obsessed with Patrice. He was robbed. And then for my favorite person who made the merge is Hannah. Obsessed with Hannah's attitude. She reminds me of Eleanor, who was my favorite from season 10 a little bit, because she just like doesn't give a fuck. Hannah, you're pretty great, and like, so at the final 7, I asked the jury to rate everyone left of who they wanted to vote for to win, the most to least. And Hannah was first by a large margin. Hannah was winning this game had she made it to the end, and I was very much rooting for her. So I loved watching Hannah. Fun fact, Lauren was second, by the way. Y'all will see, Lauren was literally our #1 winner contender from like start of merge.
Yeah, literally.
Y'all will see. Girl had it locked. But Hannah, I loved watching you, and I loved watching your fight the whole time.
And last but not least, Ollie's favorite players who are both for the merge because he's special.
Yeah, I will say, I will congratulate the merge players. A lot of you were really great. Not to say you pre-mergers weren't, you were. I will say this, none of us have said this pre-merge. You are the most active pre-merge we've had, so we do just want to give you your flowers there. Yes, my favorites. I do just want to shout out some honorable mentions. Samantha, just because Miana had a little funny bit about changing her name constantly. Eric, just because you are a lovely, lovely man, and I appreciated you. And also Nick, you know, got a root for an international. But yeah, you can show my favorites, Brandon. Yeah, they were Sanam and Chris. Sanam's not here, so I'll just quickly speak on it. I just love Sanam's energy throughout the season. She was absolutely lovely. I thought she had some really funny moments, and it was just a joy to watch her. And then my other favorite was obviously Mr. Chris. Chris knows this. As Chris mentioned, he was a very big part in Triumph's beginnings and startings. Fun fact, he was actually the one to come up with the name. None of you know that, but Chris did come up with Triumph. So yeah, Chris, you know how much I love you. You're an absolute twat, but I love you for it.
And with that, that is the end of our award slides. Obviously, we do have power rankings, which are different from the trust rankings that you guys submit, which is who we think has the most power, who are the winner contenders. It changed a lot. I think the only consistent thing was that we had Lauren clocked as a winner contender since literally Eric's elimination. And you'll see we kept consistent with that because we saw how the jury was treating her and we went, oh, there's something there. But you'll see that eventually. We also do have episode titles that the viewer lounge votes on. So those, if y'all have seen those like star emojis from the Cadaver bot, those are potential episode titles that we send to the VL and have them vote on. That has no impact on the game whatsoever. We just do that for fun. I'm not sure. Do we have a final quote for the finale yet, or?
So
Not yet.
the winner of the game always gets the final quote, so we try to get some from each of the finalists. So I just gotta go back and look at what Lauren gave us. But
Okay.
the final episode title will be Lauren.
Yeah, I can read all of the ones from episode 1 to the final 4 if you guys want to hear them.